11 Things I Quit After Turning 60. A Journey Towards a More Fulfilling Life. As we journey through life, particularly after reaching significant milestones like the age of 60, it becomes increasingly clear that our time is precious, and how we choose to spend it can greatly influence our happiness, health, and overall well-being. For many, this period marks a time of reflection, reassessment, and intentional change. The habits, commitments, and priorities we held dear in our younger years may no longer serve us in this new phase of life. In fact, for many older adults, letting go of certain things can lead to a deeper sense of fulfillment and peace. Here are 11 profound and transformative things I quit after turning 60, and why doing so has enriched my life in ways I couldn't have imagined. 1. Quitting work for the sake of working. In our younger years, it's common to get swept up in the grind of working long hours, driven by the desire to climb the career ladder or secure financial stability. However, after turning 60, I realized that working purely for the sake of being busy or out of habit no longer served me. The constant hustle took a toll on my physical and mental health, leaving me feeling drained and disconnected from the things that truly mattered. As we age, the desire to overextend ourselves for productivity often loses its allure. The wisdom gained through years of experience teaches us that more hours of work does not necessarily mean more fulfillment or success. The endless pursuit of productivity, especially without a meaningful purpose, can easily erode the quality of life. Now I approach work with intention. I ask myself, why am I working these extra hours? What purpose does it serve? If the work isn't contributing to a meaningful goal or passion, I choose to step back. Time spent simply enjoying life, pursuing hobbies, or spending quality moments with loved ones is far more valuable than endless hours behind a desk. This shift has brought a renewed sense of balance and fulfillment into my life. I no longer chase financial gain at the expense of personal well-being. Moreover, I have embraced the idea that true wealth in our later years is not measured by our bank accounts, but by the richness of our experiences, the depth of our relationships, and the peace we find within ourselves. 2. Quitting mindless spending. In our consumer-driven society, it's easy to fall into the trap of spending money on things we don't really need. For years, I bought items out of habit, or because I thought they would bring me happiness. But as I've aged, I've realized that material possessions rarely offer lasting fulfillment. Mindless spending often stems from the desire to fill an emotional void or keep up with societal expectations. We buy things to make ourselves feel better, only to realize that the satisfaction is fleeting. Now, I spend mindfully. I only purchase things that truly add value to my life or bring me genuine joy, whether it's an experience that enriches my soul or a product that improves my quality of life. This shift has not only helped me save financially but has also made me more aware of what truly matters. 3. Quitting stressing over the small stuff. Life is too short to spend it worrying about things that ultimately don't matter. In my younger days, I would get worked up over minor inconveniences, traffic jams, disagreements with colleagues, or even something as trivial as a missed appointment. As I entered my 60s, I realized that many of the things I had once stressed over were insignificant in the grand scheme of life. I began to ask myself, will this matter a year from now? If the answer was no, I let it go. Worrying about things outside of my control only drained my energy and robbed me of the joy of the present moment. Now I've learned to let go. I focus on what I can control and accept what I cannot. This mindset shift has been liberating, allowing me to approach life's challenges with a calmer, more grounded perspective. 4. Quitting neglecting self-care. For much of my life, self-care felt like a luxury rather than a necessity. I prioritized work, family, and other responsibilities over my own well-being. I thought that by constantly giving to others, I was doing the right thing. But over time, I realized that neglecting my own needs left me feeling drained and unfulfilled. Turning 60 was a wake-up call. I began to understand that self-care is not selfish, it's essential. It's about nurturing my mind, body, and spirit so I can show up as my best self in all areas of life. I started by making small changes. First, I prioritized sleep. I created a bedtime routine that allowed me to wind down and get quality rest. Next, I focused on nutrition. I became more mindful of what I ate, choosing foods that fueled my body rather than drained it. Exercise also became a cornerstone of my routine, not as a chore, but as a way to celebrate what my body can do. Mental and emotional self-care were equally important. I discovered the power of meditation and mindfulness, which helped me stay present and reduce stress. Journaling became a way to process my thoughts and emotions, giving me clarity and perspective. Most importantly, I learned to set boundaries. I stopped overcommitting and started saying no to things that didn't serve me. This allowed me to create space for the things that truly bring me joy, spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones, and pursuing hobbies that light me up. By prioritizing self-care, I found a renewed sense of energy and purpose. I realized that when I take care of myself, I can give more fully to others. Self-care isn't about indulgence, it's about sustainability. It's about honoring myself and recognizing that I am worthy of care and attention. Self-care, for me, is now a non-negotiable part of life. It's a daily commitment to showing up for myself so that I can continue to show up for the people and things I love. 5. Quitting overcommitting to others. For many years, I had a tendency to overcommit to others. I said yes to invitations, events, and favors even when I didn't truly want to, driven by a fear of disappointing people or not meeting others' expectations. I constantly tried to be the reliable friend, family member, or colleague, always putting others' needs ahead of my own. While this was often motivated by good intentions, I eventually realized that it came at the cost of my own well-being. After turning 60, I learned the importance of saying no, something that had previously felt difficult for me. I realized that my time is precious, and that I have the right to choose how I spend it. Saying no doesn't mean being selfish or unkind, it simply means being mindful of where I direct my energy. The more I practiced saying no, the more empowered I felt. I began to recognize that I could prioritize my own needs without guilt. This shift allowed me to focus on the relationships and activities that truly matter to me. I stopped saying yes out of obligation, and instead, I began to commit to things and people who truly added value to my life. This change has had a profound impact on my sense of balance and happiness. By cutting out the commitments that didn't align with my values or bring me joy, I created more space for the things that did. I have more time to relax, reflect, and engage in activities that nourish my soul. I also realize that by setting healthy boundaries, I am able to show up more fully for the people I care about. I'm no longer stretched thin, constantly running on empty. I can be present and offer my time and energy in a way that is sustainable. Learning to say no was one of the most empowering shifts I made in my 60s. It has allowed me to reclaim my time, my energy, and ultimately my happiness. 6. Quitting maintaining unhealthy relationships. For much of my life, I believed in maintaining relationships simply out of habit or obligation. Whether they were with friends, colleagues, or even family members, I often held on to connections that no longer brought me joy or fulfillment. These relationships, while once meaningful, had become draining, and I realized I was keeping them alive because I felt obligated, not because they enriched my life. Turning 60 brought a shift in my perspective. I realized that life is too short to spend time and energy on relationships that no longer serve my well-being. I began to let go of people who were toxic, draining, or disrespectful, and I stopped tolerating connections that didn't nurture or uplift me. This process wasn't easy. Some of these relationships had lasted for years, and letting go meant acknowledging the emotional weight they carried. However, I understood that maintaining unhealthy relationships was like carrying unnecessary baggage on a long journey. It slowed me down, exhausted me, and kept me from moving forward. I made a conscious choice to focus on the people who truly added value to my life, those who offered love, support, respect, and understanding. I began to nurture the relationships that brought me joy, peace, and a sense of belonging. Letting go of unhealthy relationships has been freeing. It's allowed me to surround myself with people who genuinely care for me and uplift me. The energy I once invested in trying to maintain relationships out of obligation is now devoted to deeper, more meaningful connections. This shift has brought greater authenticity to my life. I no longer feel the need to please everyone or force myself to fit into relationships that aren't mutually beneficial. Instead, I am focused on cultivating bonds that are rooted in mutual respect, love, and shared values. Turning 60 taught me the importance of quality over quantity in relationships. By releasing the ones that no longer serve me, I've created space for those that bring me true fulfillment. 7. Quitting neglecting my physical and mental health. For much of my life, I prioritized work, family, and other responsibilities over my health. Like many people, I convinced myself that I would focus on my well-being later, when things slowed down or when I had more time. But turning 60 made me realize that later had arrived, and neglecting my health was no longer an option. The phrase, "health is wealth," may sound cliché, but it holds undeniable truth, especially as we age. Good health is the foundation of a fulfilling life. Without it, even the simplest joys can be out of reach. I had spent too many years focusing on everything except my own health, but now I understood that taking care of my physical and mental well-being was essential for truly enjoying life. I started by incorporating regular exercise into my routine. Something as simple as daily morning walks has become a ritual that keeps me physically active and mentally clear. Walking outdoors gives me the chance to connect with nature, clear my mind, and reflect on my life. It also combats the natural decline in muscle mass and mobility that comes with age. Beyond physical health, I realized the importance of mental well-being. I began to practice mindfulness, meditation, and gratitude regularly. These practices have become vital in managing stress, staying present, and appreciating the beauty of everyday life. By nurturing my mind as well as my body, I've been able to find greater peace and emotional balance. Prioritizing my health has given me the energy and vitality to live fully. I no longer feel drained or sluggish, and I've noticed a marked improvement in my mood, cognitive function, and overall quality of life. At 60, I learned that health isn't something to take for granted. It's a precious gift, and by taking care of it, I've opened the door to a vibrant, fulfilling life. This shift has been one of the most important changes I've made, and it's allowed me to fully embrace the opportunities that each new day brings. 8. Quitting procrastination on personal goals. As we grow older, time seems to slip by faster, and the goals and dreams we once had can feel like distant memories. For many years, I kept postponing personal projects or adventures, telling myself that I'd have more time later. But turning 60 was a wake-up call. I realized that waiting for the perfect moment could mean waiting forever, and that moment was now. I stopped procrastinating and began taking action on the things I'd always wanted to do. Whether it was learning a new skill, traveling to a new place, or finally finishing a long-forgotten project, I committed myself to making the most of the time I had left. I no longer allowed myself to be paralyzed by the thought of finding the perfect time or the perfect conditions. Instead, I embraced the idea that the best time to start is always now. This shift in mindset has been liberating. I've started setting small, achievable goals that bring me closer to the life I want to live. Each goal, whether it's trying something new or simply completing a task I've put off for years, brings a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. What I've learned is that life doesn't wait, and neither should we. Time moves faster as we age, but that doesn't mean we can't still pursue our dreams and goals. In fact, there's something incredibly motivating about realizing that every day counts. By taking action now, I've reignited my passion for life. I've learned to be more present in the moment, to stop waiting for the perfect conditions, and to start making progress on the things that matter most to me. This shift has brought new energy into my life and has reminded me that it's never too late to pursue what you truly desire. 9. Quitting the fear of change. Change is inevitable, and yet for much of my life, I feared it. I clung to the familiar, even when it no longer served me, simply because stepping into the unknown felt too risky. I avoided change in my health, relationships, career, and even in my personal growth, fearing the discomfort that came with it. But as I entered my 60s, I began to realize that change isn't something to resist, it's something to embrace. Life is full of transitions, and each one offers an opportunity for growth and new experiences. I started to view change as an adventure, an invitation to evolve, learn, and adapt. Whether it was adjusting to changes in my health, relationships, or the circumstances around me, I learned to face them with curiosity rather than dread. Embracing change has been incredibly freeing. It's allowed me to shed old beliefs and habits that no longer served me, and to welcome new possibilities with open arms. I no longer fear what's to come because I now understand that change is a natural part of life. As I embraced change, I discovered a renewed sense of excitement. It's like embarking on a new journey that offers fresh perspectives and opportunities one never anticipated. Change isn't something to fight against, it's an opportunity to grow, evolve, and experience life in a new way. At this stage in life, I've learned that change is nothing to fear. Instead, I now welcome it, knowing that it's an essential part of my personal evolution. It's helped me feel more alive, more adaptable, and more open to the possibilities that each day brings. 10. Quitting irregular sleep patterns. In my younger years, I took sleep for granted. I would often sacrifice rest for work, socializing, or late-night TV marathons. I never truly understood the importance of sleep until I reached my 60s. At that point, I realized that poor sleep wasn't just affecting my physical health, but also my mood, my productivity, and my overall well-being. As we age, the importance of sleep becomes even more apparent. Sleep is the time when our bodies repair and rejuvenate, and without adequate rest, we simply cannot function at our best. I learned the hard way that neglecting sleep over the years had an impact I couldn't ignore any longer. Now I've made it a priority to establish a regular sleep routine. I aim to go to bed early and wake up refreshed, ready to take on the day. Quality sleep has become a cornerstone of my self-care routine, and the difference it has made is profound. Since prioritizing sleep, I've noticed a significant improvement in my cognitive function, mood, and overall quality of life. I no longer wake up groggy or irritable, but instead start my days with energy and clarity. Sleep has given me the mental and physical rejuvenation I needed to make the most of my days. In addition to physical rest, I've also become more mindful of creating a peaceful environment that promotes relaxation. I avoid stimulants like caffeine or technology right before bed, and I practice relaxation techniques like deep breathing to wind down. This commitment to sleep has been a game changer. It's allowed me to feel more energized, more focused, and more engaged in life. I've learned that taking care of my sleep is as important as taking care of my physical health, and it's an investment in my overall well-being. 11. Quitting comparing myself to others. As I've aged, I've come to realize that comparison is the thief of joy. In my younger years, I frequently compared myself to others, whether it was in terms of career success, material possessions, or even physical appearance. This constant comparison led to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction, as I measured my worth against others' achievements and standards. But after turning 60, something shifted. I stopped looking at others for validation and began to appreciate the uniqueness of my own journey. I realized that everyone's path is different, and there's no single measure of success or happiness. What truly matters is how I view my own life and what I've accomplished on my terms. Letting go of the need to compare myself to others has been liberating. It has allowed me to appreciate my life for what it is, rather than what I thought it should be based on someone else's accomplishments or lifestyle. I've learned to embrace my own journey, with all its ups and downs, and to find joy in my own experiences. I've come to understand that each person's journey is unique, and the comparisons I once made were both unfair and unproductive. Comparing myself to others only robbed me of the satisfaction I could have gained from appreciating the beauty of my own path. Since I stopped comparing myself to others, I've found peace and contentment. I no longer feel inadequate or as though I'm missing out. Instead, I'm grateful for the life I've lived and the wisdom I've gained along the way. I've learned that my worth isn't defined by others, but by my own experiences and the person I've become. This realization has brought me greater confidence and inner peace. I now live authentically, free from the pressure of measuring up to someone else's standards. It's been one of the most empowering changes I've made in my later years, and I'm finally at peace with who I am.